Hey everybody, welcome to another World of Tanks replay. This one's in the IS-7 on Serene Coast South Spawn, and I'm platooned up with Serb in his AMX 1390. We've ended up with Vice Mongol on our team, who is a very good player, and also Oram. I see Vice Mongol a lot. He's usually playing his 430 when I see him. So automatically, by the fact he plays the 430 so much, I've already taken a liking to the guy without even knowing him. The enemy team, however, has got some decent players of their own. Not a bad matchup, all told. There's a little bit of arty in the game, but not too much. It's fairly light on tank destroyers, 2 per, but we do have the JP-100 to the enemy 268. So this could go either way, although we do have some very, very good mediums in the form of the Relic platoon. I decide to head west, pretty standard fare on this map, and I begin looking for shots on anything to my right. Now, I'm expecting nothing from this. I just decide to fire a shell just to see where it goes. Holy shit, it went right into that T-54, and I should have known right there that Lady Luck was on my side this match, because that shot was absolutely obscene. It should not have happened. Looks like we've come heavy up the west flank. Pretty much nothing on the peninsula, but that's generally how you want to play Serene Coast. The peninsula 9 games out of 10 is completely irrelevant, and in the cases where it is relevant, it's usually only because your whole team has gone there and died uselessly, thus allowing the enemy to control the entire west 2/3 of the map. Now, I'm fighting on a hill here, in fact a series of hills, and if there's one thing the IS-7 does not like, it's hills. Its gun depression is quite bad, and it really struggles to get shots off at tanks over the ridge lines. However, this kind of isn't as bad a situation as it might seem. The IS-7's gun depression is bad, yes, so my offensive capabilities will be somewhat muted by the hill, but it's already incredibly well sloped. Thick armor is going to be even better working this kind of slope. T-62A pulls up into the open, so my first shot at close range goes into him, and already a bounce off my gun mantlet. Shot coming from my left side. Now I'm looking to head into this little bowl in front of me. You can probably see it where the the T-54 is now. I've got a slight rise to my right, which screens me from the center, although the tanks there are already engaged, and a hill to my left, which forces the enemy to push right up into my face if they want to get shots. They have to expose themselves to have any hope of damaging me. And as I carelessly drive up over the side, my well-angled turret armor is just too much for them, even the ones who are firing heat at me. Just a quick reminder, if you're firing heat out of a tier 10 medium, you should probably not be playing tier 10s because you're not good enough for them. Heat is a good decision in some tanks, but tier 10 mediums, objectively, it's a bad choice unless you're up against the frontal turret of an E100 or the casemate of a Jagdpanzer E100 against something with very good slopes like, I don't know, an IS-7. No, not going to work. Heat doesn't normalize, it doesn't like slopes, it doesn't like spaced armor. The IS-7 has both. However, my support does die, and it looks for a moment like I'm fucked. However, the JP behind me, as well as our Artie and the Leopard and Patton hanging back, are providing some absolutely top-notch support. Fantastic backup for my teammates here. So although we don't have any physical presence on this hill, aside from myself, my teammates are really putting the hurt on these guys as they push me. And because of the IS-7's phenomenal survivability, I'm able to pull away with most of my hit points still usable. In fact, I'm a bit under half health, but I've got more than I need. So I told a little white lie there when I said most of my hit points, but oh well. I go down for a shot on the 251 and also to put some terrain between myself and the mediums and the E100. However, the 251 goes down to the Leopard, and this allows me to scoot up behind these guys and get shots in from the back. I was hoping they would give chase over the hill rather than turn around, although I kind of half expected them to realize I was flanking them. Sure enough, I get one shot into the T-62 before an E100 heat round ends my day. Our T-92 immediately lands a shell right on the E100's head, and our Leopard goes in to clean up as the two mediums run for dear life. The enemy now only have them and a T-30 defending their base, And these mediums are not long for this world. T62A is only going to survive, well, nothing actually, one hit will kill him. The 140's got a little more in terms of hit points, but not really much. Down goes the T62 to another JPE shell. That guy was doing really well. I didn't expect him to get any damage in from the position he was in, but he actually really helped me out. Leopard's a little cautious here, poking that 140. He actually managed to find the 261 in the process. The 140 is still on 700 hit points, so the Leopard should theoretically be able to deal with him. However, he wedges himself in behind the Arty as the 140 charges in to try and rescue it, and he's now in a bad situation because he's going to have trouble hitting the 140. He just has enough depression to hit it in the cupola here. Looks like he actually had just enough to get it in the upper hole, but he burns down. It's all good though, as we still have the advantage in numbers. The 140 is the last thing left on the enemy team, and Vice Mongol is about to go kill it in his own 140 with quite a rare sight. 3 marks of excellence on the barrel there, but he does a lot of damage every match I see him in. So although I didn't get a huge amount of damage myself, 3k in an IS-7 is alright, but it's not really anything to brag about. The fantastic support of my teammates, as well as the fantastic armor layout of the IS-7, really carried the west side of this match. If I was in any other tank, what I did there wouldn't have worked. Honestly, I wasn't expecting it to work even in the IS-7, but it turns out that hills and angled armor really can swing a match. Now, I wouldn't recommend playing quite as aggressively as I did this match. I was honestly a little too carried away there. But when you are driving the IS-7, you have to remember that although you may not have the overall armor thickness of, say, an E100 or a Mouse, you have probably the best armor scheme in the game, because your side armor is impenetrable even to many tier 8 and 9 medium tanks. It's difficult to pen even for some tier 10s, especially if you work angles into the effect. Your turret is very good. The front is very difficult to pen. The sides are difficult to pen because of their angling. The rear is well sloped as well. You have no cupolas to shoot for whatsoever. No raised or engraved areas of the turret that shells can easily hit. The IS-7's turret is brilliant. Probably second only to the ST-1's turret, and I'd say even better than the American heavy tanks. Actually quite better than the American heavy tanks, because although they have very good turrets, they do have flat turret cheeks and quite large prominent cupolas to shoot for. So combine that with the extremely well angled and extremely thick frontal armor, the IS-7 just really works some kinds of terrain fantastically well. And although it doesn't have the highest hit point pool of any of the tier 10 heavies, it doesn't have the best overall armor values, it has the best effective armor, I would say, perhaps even more than the IS-4, because unlike the IS-4, the IS-7 has just enough mobility and enough angling to really make the armor work, whereas the IS-4 is a bit too slow and a bit too, not boxy, but a bit too traditional, shall we say, to effectively bounce some of the shit that an IS-7 will just shrug off as if it's not there. So really, if you're looking for an assault heavy, it's hard to go past the IS-7. Just like the original days of Clan Wars when there were only 3 tier 10 heavies, the IS-7, the Mouse, and the T-30, which of course used to be the American tier 10 heavy tank, the IS-7 was always the first pick for rapid assault strats. If you had to get tanks somewhere fast, IS-7s every time. If you needed to get tanks to bounce things into a forward's position, Mouse is too slow, the T-30 can't bounce, IS-7 every time. And to this day, you will not find a better assault heavy in tier 10 than the IS-7. You'll find heavies with better mobility, MX-50B. You'll find heavies with better guns, perhaps, the IS-4, or anything really with an M62 clone on it, which includes some of the Chinese tanks. And you'll find tier 10s with better frontal armor. The E3 would be the best example. The E100, kind of. The E100's armor depends more on the player angling it than the actual thickness. Don't really want to go into that now. I'll leave that for an E100 video. But basically, the IS-7 can really make up for a lot of player error just because the initial slope on the armor is so good. Once you add in a player actually angling it to enhance that slope, it's just knocking it out of the park as far as heavy tanks go. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. As ever, I'll catch you on the next one.